everyone. Welcome back to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, Hal, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I think this is the second time in a row we're waving to each other.
Why are we waving at each other?
You know, I heard something where they said, I don't know if this is true. There's so many like these like BS experts all over that say the human hand, like if you see the palm, it kind of makes somebody feel better. So like on my Zoom calls at work, I've been like waving now. Like even though it's a dorky thing to do, I was talking to people, they're like, oh, I'm never going to be one of those dorks that waves at the end. It actually isn't dorky, I don't think. I think it's a nice thing to do. Like saying, bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
You're like Mickey Mouse.
But now every time I do that, I think of that person saying that people like to see palms. And I don't even know if that's true or not.
I don't think I like to see palms.
Well, it's not like in your head, you're like, ooh, a palm. That's nice. It's just like maybe a human thing. Maybe not. I don't know. Because like it's not like the human thing to always wave every single culture, is it? So maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I don't know.
I don't freaking know, Mike.
It's this woman that's been all over my social media. Not like commenting on it, but just like I see her on a lot of podcasts and shows. She's very good at what she does. Like she speaks very intelligently. So like what she says seems like legit.
Okay. Is she an expert of something?
She probably is. I never looked into her, but she talks like she is. So, I mean, that's half the battle, really.
True.
So anyways, yeah, welcome to the show, guys. We appreciate you. And if you really love what we do, we would love for you to become a subscriber to our bonus episodes. And you can do that through Apple Podcast subscriptions or Patreon. And if on Patreon, there's a few different levels. On Apple, there's just one. But you could get up to like, 200, 150? What are we up to
Somewhere
now?
around 150, I would assume.
150 freaking bonus episodes. So like all full episodes, man. They're just out there waiting for you.
Maybe 125. I haven't counted.
Yeah, right around there. So don't hold us to it. So
right.
What's new with you, Stutz?
Just baking more sourdough bread. I've got some proofing on the counter. I'm assuming I'm screwing it up in some way. And this time I'm going to do those add-ins inclusions. It's like this world, this club that I'm not part of.
But you are part of it now.
Well, not really. I don't know what I'm doing. There's all these terminologies if you're baking the sourdough with the starter. I feel like I'm doing something wrong at every moment that I'm doing it.
Because you're a perfectionist.
And if this comes out, if this loaf of cheddar, jalapeno, and what is the third thing I'm putting in there? Cheddar, jalapeno, pepperoni.
Oh, yeah.
So cheddar, jalapeno, pepperoni in one loaf, and then the others are the others for our daughter. It's going to be strawberry cream cheese.
Yeah.
Cream cheese chips with freeze-dried strawberries.
Yeah, it sounds pretty freaking awesome. So
we'll see. I'm just assuming it's going to be a total flop.
It's good. It's good
that's
to
how
have,
you learn, though, right?
You know, what we want to teach is our kids to have that mindset that everything's going to be terrible, right? Always be negative mindset. I think that's what we taught them.
I don't think I'm a cup half empty type of person, generally. I don't think I am.
Are you? Well, if you had to pick one, which would you say?
I don't think I'm a pessimist.
No? Mm-mm. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we'll disagree.
I think I see things quite... I'm a realist. Yeah, let's say that.
Well, that's what all pessimists say. That's the problem with that one. It's not that... I don't actually think you're a pessimist, but if I had to pick one, maybe you worry about things. That's the thing.
I worry ahead.
You think that like the worst thing might happen almost all the time.
Prepare for the worst. And I'm trying to do... I mentioned in one of our previous episodes of meditation, when I do my red light therapy mask, it's 15 minutes. So I pop my earbuds in. I do a 15-minute meditation just to... focus on being more present. That's my problem. I'm never freaking present.
Yeah, which when you do the meditations is nice because finally you're not present like talking about like things that I need to do in the house.
I get 15 minutes of peace.
You're like, is it okay if I take a meditation? I'm like, abso-freaking-lutely.
Yeah, and somehow you still talk to me at times. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Maybe because I love you.
15 minutes, don't ask me a question.
You ever think maybe I love you? Maybe I just can't be without you for 15 minutes? Maybe that's why. Maybe it's something you should be grateful for.
Unless you're going to whisper sweet nothings to me. Normally it's, oh, so what did you do with this?
Yeah. So, hon, I can't find a spoon. Where do we keep the spoons in this house?
Lord.
Real quick. So this week we've been going through a bunch of like stress because we're going to be taking a cruise later this summer and trying to get my parents down here to watch the kids. And they live in Illinois. We live in Florida. Trying to get them to fly down here. But turns out that there's this new like...
real ID.
Yeah. It's a rule going into effect with the TSA. They need this real ID. And
by May 7th, and our cruise is May 20-something.
Yeah.
And so it was supposed to be an anniversary romantic getaway. Every which way, and this was another thing I was spiraling about. How can I make this happen? It just wasn't working. So we're like, okay, kids are coming with us.
Yeah. So this was going to be a romantic getaway for us. And it turns out like we don't want to like it's going to be down to the wire whether my parents have their stuff or not because they're supposed to have their birth certificate, all this stuff. They don't have a lot of it because they moved recently and I just threw away all their stuff because my mom's a pack rat, kind of not a horrible pack rat on hoarders or anything.
I'd say she's a pack rat for sure.
But not hoarders level where it's like,
but she just hangs on to things. And also, P.S., who puts these necessary documents within the supplies of the basement?
Well, good news. Turns out that she doesn't because she called me yesterday. She's like, oh, I found my naturalization certificate. And even though that's the one that I'm ordering for like $500 to help her out. And it's like, and then my dad's like, hey, I found my driver's license or whatever.
Oh,
I'm like,
good Lord, you probably have everything you need for these documents.
Yeah.
Regardless, that romantic trip, poof, gone.
Now, a family vacation.
Family vacay. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I guess. Not as fun as I was planning on it.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie.
On that note, are you ready to jump into this?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is the murder of Suzanne Simpson. So during this episode, we'll be covering the chilling disappearance and presumed murder of Suzanne Simpson. And she was a 51-year-old real estate agent, mother of 4, and a beloved supermom from Olmos Park, Texas.
Supermom, I love that.
Yeah.
You're kind of a supermom.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. After a violent confrontation with her husband of 22 years, Brad Simpson, this is Suzanne's husband, she after this confrontation was seen, she vanishes without a trace, which obviously makes us highly suspicious.
Yeah.
So what started as a missing persons report has unraveled into a web of disturbing clues, family secrets, and a daughter's fearless cry for justice. So today we're going to walk through the timeline, the evidence that will leave you asking, what really happened to Suzanne Simpson? And based on the evidence, you can only imagine that it was a terrible ending. So Sunday, October 6, 2024, was the last day Suzanne Simpson was ever seen alive. She attended a birthday party at an upscale club in San Antonio, Texas, where she was seen loudly arguing and physically struggling with her husband of 22 years, 53-year-old Brad Simpson. So the last known sighting of Suzanne was at about 10 p.m. that night when a neighbor watched Suzanne struggle and pull free from her husband's grasp. The man watched from his window as Suzanne escaped Brad's clutches and ran away, with Brad following closely behind. And shortly thereafter, even more disturbing, the neighbor came outside to further investigate and ended up hearing screams that were coming from the nearby woods. Yet authorities were not contacted in this case until the next night when Suzanne's friends reported her missing. So throughout the couple's 22 years of marriage, they shared 4 children together, and as of 2024, they had a 5-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old son, and an 18 and 20-year-old daughters. So Brad worked as an investor in real estate, as well as within construction businesses around Central Texas. So since her mom has vanished and is presumed to have been murdered, despite the fact that Suzanne's remains have yet to be found, their eldest child, this is 20-year-old Chandler Simpson, she has been very outspoken. And in a series of Instagram stories, the young child the young girl, she's 20, she directly implicated her father in her mother's death as she wrote, "My mom was a victim of abuse from my father. My father took my mother's life in a state of rage and control. Those who choose to remain silent are choosing to blind themselves from domestic violence in our homes. My mother tried to leave my father and lost her life." So Chandler has also shared the things that she misses so much about her mom since she disappeared. And this includes Suzanne's bright smile, her impeccable meatloaf, her ability to converse with anyone and everyone, her pursuit to always put others first, her devotion as a mother, wife, and best friend, her dorky dance moves, which I'm sure our children could say I am very dorky too. Children are always embarrassed of their parents. I always find that.
Well, I think you're not parenting right if your kids aren't embarrassed of you.
It's like, oh, Mom, don't do that.
I'm always trying to push the envelope.
And she misses her mom's endless support of her children, all 4 of them, that allowed Chandler to be her own person because Suzanne supported that. She didn't want to mold her children into who she expected them to be. She wanted to shape them into who they were meant to be, let them form their own people. So Suzanne was a smiling, friendly fixture within her Olmos Park community, a regular at a nearby coffee shop, someone who was seen, like I said, as a supermom. She was able to juggle her family life along with her successful real estate career, and she was known as a hilariously bad driver. So Brad and Suzanne, they had been living in their $1.38 million home at 520 East Olmos Drive in Olmos Park, Texas. They had been living there for nearly a decade, and at this time in 2024, they were living with their 5-year-old daughter and their 15-year-old child as their 2 adult daughters were out of the home. So before her mother disappeared, Chandler had spent 2 years studying fashion design in Paris as well as New York. So on the day that Suzanne was presumed to have been murdered, this is Sunday, October 6, 2024, like I mentioned, she, Brad, and their 5-year-old daughter, they headed out to a birthday party at 6 p.m., and it was held at this really cool historic club called the Argyle. So this is a private dinner club in Alamo Heights. And this club where Brad and Suzanne were guests, they were not members because it has a very exclusive membership where they won't release the names of their members. It's a 170-year-old 3-story colonial mansion. It has a sprawling veranda. It wraps around the top floor. So here at the party, Suzanne was wearing a short, dark dress with tall tan heels. She had her sandy blonde hair partially pulled back. And during the party, guests witnessed the couple. They were having a verbal altercation. And then shortly thereafter, Suzanne was seen leaving with their 5-year-old daughter, and they had left the party without Brad. And they left at about 8:30 p.m. So from there, the pair drove 2 miles down the road to the H-E-B grocery store on Olmos Drive, and surveillance video indicated that they were at the store between 8:40 and 8:51 p.m. And again, it's just she and her 5-year-old daughter at the time. So when they left, they made their 3-minute drive back to their house. And once home, Suzanne called a family friend at 9:15 p.m. and then she headed out to go to that family friend's house. So while she was en route, she called her mom. This was at 9:16 p.m. and she told her about the fact that she and Brad had gotten into a fight and that the fight had escalated to the point that Brad had actually assaulted her.
Okay, so she told her mom specifically that.
Yes.
Okay.
So she told her mom specifically that he injured her and caused pain to her arm, her back, and her neck. And they spoke until 9:24 p.m., and it was right around this time that Suzanne arrived at her friend's home. So Suzanne's mom, this is Barbara, she did try calling her daughter back. She wanted to tell her that she had come up with a plan that she should come and stay at the house with the kids, but she did not get through to Suzanne. There was no answer. And sadly, Suzanne never got the chance to hear her mom's plan. So little did Suzanne know, but at 9:16 p.m., this is the very time she was actually speaking on the phone with her mom, telling her about the fact that her husband had assaulted her. Brad, meanwhile, was in the process of accessing. I always say accessing. I for some reason, mental block, I say it wrong.
It's okay.
So he was accessing the AT&T app on his phone in order to suspend his wife's phone service. I mean, just unbelievable. So this ended up being a point of interest in this case because after Suzanne was reported missing, Brad actually claimed that his wife just incidentally lost her cell phone when she and her daughter had been at the grocery store earlier that night. So this came back to be a blatant lie. So
I know you heard me inhale. It's like this guy just sounds like an idiot and a scumbag, obviously.
Controlling, and I just can't stand it. I'm just huge on a relationship involving trust. That is just huge for me because for me, if you don't have trust, you have nothing. And if you think you can control the person that you're with, the foundation of that relationship is already crumbling.
Yeah, I mean, you can control them. That's up to you. And if you're the type of person that needs to be able to do that, that's the real problem.
Exactly. So it's unclear how long Suzanne ended up staying at her friend's house, but sometime between 10 and 11 p.m., we know she was back home because this is the time frame that the neighbor who lived directly across the street from the Simpsons started to hear some sort of argument, commotion outside his bedroom window. So as the argument grew louder, he started to go towards the window to investigate, and he indicated that the noise seemed closer to his window. So the neighbor looked out and noticed that Brad and Suzanne, like I had said, were physically struggling with each other. Brad was grabbing her upper torso area in order to gain control of her body. until Suzanne managed to break free from him and run in a westerly direction. And with this, the neighbor saw that Brad began chasing her. He was trying to reach out and grab her again. But then the neighbor quickly lost sight as they ran from his yard. Or basically he couldn't say exactly where they ultimately ended up. So the neighbor mentioned something about wanting to go and find a flashlight and go outside to investigate. This was a short time later. And at this point in time, he heard 2 to 3 screams that were coming from the woods that were situated across from his home. And then about an hour later, he heard Brad's black 2019 GMC Sierra truck start up and it drove away. And then another hour later, it came back. So despite this alarming situation, the fact that this neighbor had witnessed his neighbors, this husband and wife, physically struggling, followed by screams that were coming from the woods at, 11 o'clock at night, after he witnessed Brad chasing Suzanne, he never notified authorities at this point in time. He only gave his statement after an investigation began as a result of Suzanne's friends reporting her missing. So I find that interesting. So had he called, even told the investigation or police office, I should say, hey, I want to remain anonymous. I just heard this commotion. I saw the husband and wife struggling. He was chasing her, and then I heard screams coming from the woods. Who's going into the woods at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah, something bad's happening.
And you're screaming?
Right.
Just to say, can you please just check it out? Then maybe we would know what happened to Suzanne. But unfortunately, we didn't, and Brad had some time to take care of some business, which I will tell you all about. So in the meantime, the couple's 20-year-old daughter, like I mentioned, this is Chandler, she utilized her Apple iPhone's Find My app that they all shared as a family, and the last location that was listed for her mom's phone was at their home at 10:22 p.m. So beginning at 11:09 p.m., Brad intentionally engaged in a series of on-off cycles that included complete shutdowns on his phone in order to prevent data collection. And we know that unless you're trying to hide something, you are not doing such a thing.
Yeah, and I'm not really convinced 100% that that's going to prevent people from being able to track you. I don't know. You'll tell us.
So according to the Texas Department of Public Safety criminal analyst, as well as the FBI's forensic examiner, this continued until the next day. He also shut his phone down in a way that the FBI rarely sees. And this is referred to as lockdown mode, which is a shutdown of a cell phone that is done by a person strictly in order to avoid detection.
Lockdown mode. Interesting. I wonder if you put it into like an RFID type of bag that like it won't be able to get any signal.
I have no idea. I am not a criminal, so I have never had to do such a thing. So Brad's truck was seen on surveillance video at 12:33 a.m. Now we're in the early morning hours of Monday, October 7th, at the H-E-B grocery store where Suzanne and her daughter had been only hours earlier. So the video showed that at this point in time, the bed of his truck was clear of any cargo except for a large ice chest. So this last activity from Suzanne's cell phone registered, the last activity from Suzanne's cell phone registered at 7:15 a.m. with coordinates that proved that it was in a business parking lot in Olmos Park. So at 7:53 a.m., Brad dropped their 5-year-old daughter off at Howard Early Childhood Center, where she attended school. And by this time, surveillance video observed that there were at least 2 white trash bags in the bed of the truck, in addition to this large ice chest. And, it's possible that with him working within construction that maybe this ice chest is always there. I don't know.
Sure.
So at 9:12 a.m., Brad was seen in a drive-through of Whataburger on West Bandera Road in Bernie. This is 30 miles or 49 kilometers from where his daughter goes to school. So now on surveillance, they could see that in addition to the said ice chest and these white trash bags, video showed a large gray heavy-duty trash can, as well as, this is the part that's really disturbing, a large, bulky item that was wrapped in a blue tarp and secured by a strap or a rope that had a silver metal firewood rack that was placed on top in a manner to likely conceal and weigh the tarp down. So you can use your imagination to assume what was wrapped in this blue tarp.
The body of his wife.
Right. So at 9:50 a.m., Brad then drove to Home Depot. This is also in Bernie, where surveillance depicted him purchasing 2 bags of cement, an orange construction bucket with a lid, a box of 32-count heavy-duty trash bags, 1 can of Clorox disinfectant spray, as well as an insect repellent. So he purchased these items with cash, and when he left the store, he approached a man that he didn't know in the parking lot and asked him for directions to the nearest dump. And then this man gave him directions to the Kendall County solid waste site.
Okay.
And I will just say, I'm thinking about Brad and what he looks like. If you want to picture him, if you watch the Great British Baking Show, to me, he looks a lot like Paul Hollywood.
Okay, good looking guy.
So if you want to picture, that's what he looks like. To me. You can tell me if I'm wrong. So as Brad left the Home Depot, now it's 10 a.m., and he intentionally, once again, placed his phone in lockdown mode, and vehicle location data eventually captured his truck where this man had given him directions to, this waste site. So from here, he headed to a gas station where he was seen at 11:15 a.m. He got gas for his truck as well as 2 1-gallon jugs of water. And by now, the white trash bags were missing from the bed of his truck, so we could only assume that he dumped those off at the dump. Yet this blue tarp, firewood rack, as well as the trash cans were still there. So while he was still at the gas station, he changed his sandals into cowboy boots, which kind of tells you he's preparing to do something that requires more heavy-duty shoes, footwear. So after he left the gas station, he headed to Medina. This is about an hour's drive from Kendall County, where he remained for about 13 minutes before he headed back to Kendall County. So investigators believe that this was where he unloaded this blue tarp that was concealing a large object, which of course we can presume were Suzanne's remains. As when his truck was then captured on a license plate reader at 1:41 p.m., the blue tarp was no longer visible in the back of his truck, and the firewood rack had been repositioned because, of course, it had been placed over the blue tarp. So his daughter's school contacted Brad. They called him at 3 p.m. and said, hey, your daughter has not been picked up yet. And normally it was Suzanne who came and did the pickup every day from school. So he came by the school at 3:27 p.m. and the firewood rack was at this point in time no longer in the bed of his truck. So I think it's a beautiful thing with surveillance, how we have it now. And we were talking in our bonus episode that at this point in time, and of course, this took place last year, but it's almost impossible to successfully get away with murder because of cell phone and towers and surveillance. It's basically almost impossible.
DNA. I mean, there's so many different ways to find what happened. I've mentioned a few times, part of my job is selling surveillance cameras to, facilities and just government agencies and things. And there's every cop has the option of having a camera with a license plate reader just sitting there, reading every single scan as it goes by, every single license plate. And there's cameras above every single intersection. They're not really there to spy. They're there just to kind of look over traffic and things, but they can use them as license plate readers.
When needed, yeah.
And there's literally license plate readers everywhere. It's crazy. Once you know where to look for them, they're everywhere.
Right. And I always say, because a lot of people, they're against all that. Oh, Big Brother's watching you. It's yeah, but if you're not doing anything illegal, in this case, it's super valuable. We're able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Where was he? What was in his truck? What did it look like he was doing? Thank goodness we have this information.
Well, the other side is that as you lose privacy, you're actually losing freedom. So that's it's a thing.
It's a controversial thing for people to talk about. But anywho, so at this point in time, he's coming through the daycare. They see that the firewood rack was no longer there in the bed of his truck, but the trash can and the ice chest were still visible at this point. So from here at 4:07 p.m., Brad drove to the Bubble Bath Car Wash in San Antonio. He actually had a membership there. He was seen on surveillance washing and cleaning the driver's front side as well as the rear left passenger side, while splashes of dried cement were visible on the rear passenger side as well as the bed of his truck. So you could only imagine that when he disposed of his wife's remains, cement was somehow involved. So the can of Clorox could be seen in the rear passenger side, and only at this point in time, the ice chest remained in the bed of the truck. So slowly but surely, he's getting rid of the items at the back of his truck. So that evening, unbeknownst to Brad, Suzanne's friends were starting to discuss among themselves the fact that none of them had been able to reach her. So one friend reached out to Brad about her concerns, like, hey, we can't get a hold of Suzanne. Have you heard from her? At that point, he said, I haven't reported her missing. So at 9:57 p.m.
That's what he said. Well, I haven't reported her missing. She must
I can
be
only
okay.
assume that that's what he said.
Oof, yeah.
At 9:57 p.m., a friend of Suzanne's decided to contact the police in order to report her missing. And then, incidentally, 15 minutes later, douchebag Brad decides to do the same, and he left a voicemail for Olmos Park Police Chief Fidel Villegas. And he indicated in this voicemail that he had not heard from his wife since 11 p.m. on Sunday, when she was last seen. However, during a phone call between Police Chief Villegas and Brad that happened on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., Brad suddenly changed his story and said, oh, wait, the last time I actually saw Suzanne was at about 6:30 a.m. on Monday morning. He was leaving the house to take their daughter to school, and he said he peeked into a separate bedroom, and he saw that she was sleeping in bed. And as I always say, if you are not lying, your story will stay the same. And something like your spouse is missing. Did you see them at 11 p.m. on Sunday or 6:30 a.m. on Monday? Big difference there.
Yeah, that's why I always tell the truth, like I said recently. Otherwise, you have too many things to remember.
Right. So very early on in the investigation, Brad was cooperative, but this quickly changed after he lawyered up and went silent. So he failed to show up to secondary interviews before he was ultimately arrested. After he reported his wife missing, he did not return to his home. Rather, he went to a family home in Bandera County. Records prove that his father owns a home in this county, but Brad was ultimately arrested in Kendall County near where his brother owns a property. However, he was arrested during a traffic stop rather than at a family property.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
So when investigators spoke with a counselor at Howard Early Childhood Center, this is where their daughter goes to school, they indicated that when they spoke to the Simpsons' 5-year-old daughter, she told them that her dad had pushed her mom against the wall, hit her in the face, and hurt her elbow while they were at their house.
Wow.
So that's consistent with what she was telling her mom. He hurt my neck, my back, my arm.
Yeah.
Her dad also grabbed her mom's phone and turned it off. And it sounds like, and I'll mention, this was kind of routine for him. In the control freak nature, he often took away her lifeline, her cell phone from her.
Ugh, I hate this kind of guy that just has to have this power and control.
And I always say it's the people who have the lowest self-esteem that are the most puffed up chest and controlling.
It's these egotistical, narcissistic douchebags.
Right. I always say small penis syndrome. It's like the guys with the biggest, loudest trucks. I always say micro penis.
She does. She actually says that to our kids all the time.
I do.
And she goes, you know what that means? That means micro
And
penis.
I put my pinky up and do a little micro penis.
Yep.
So when investigators spoke with Suzanne's mother, Barbara, she told them about, obviously, her phone conversation with her daughter on Sunday night when she told her that Brad assaulted her. Barbara fully believed very early on that her daughter was deceased because she felt in her heart that if Suzanne was truly alive and hiding out somewhere, she would have absolutely contacted her family to put them at ease.
Yeah, and she just recently talked to her about how Brad hit her and hurt her. Like, obviously you get a call that she's missing. It's like, okay, he killed her.
Right. So Barbara heard from Brad sometime on Monday when he told his mother-in-law that Suzanne hadn't shown up from the school pickup for their 5-year-old daughter. So, of course, he's like, yeah, I don't know what happened to Suzanne. She just didn't show up to pick our child up.
Real quick, does Suzanne have a dad that's living?
They didn't mention anything about the dad. I watched a lot of interviews with the mom.
Okay, the only reason I think that is like, man, if my daughter called and said my husband just hit me, I would go over there with a sledgehammer to like wreck his face.
Ugh,
I swear.
I can't even imagine.
Oh, man. Like, I'm not one of those guys that's like standing there with a shotgun when my daughter's dating, whenever she starts dating. It's like, well, I hope she finds somebody good. But man, you touch my daughter, you're dead.
Well, or our son, regardless. It's like we raise our kids with love and kindness and respect, and then some douchebag is going to waltz into their life and start laying hands on them over my dead ass body.
Yep.
So, of course, Barbara saying that the first time she knew something was wrong was when she actually got a phone call from Brad saying Suzanne didn't come to pick up the child. So this was the first time Barbara was alerted to the fact that her daughter was missing, and she knew right away something must be wrong. But at the same time, she could only hope that maybe there was a reasonable explanation for her absence. Of course, we know that Suzanne was very successful with real estate. Maybe she got held up at a house showing or something. We always want to think the best. So according to Barbara, she'd always respected Brad previously as a son-in-law. She thought he was a great husband and father. She always admired him. And she couldn't understand how he could have possibly hurt her daughter, who was his wife of 22 years and the mother of their 4 children.
It's really crazy. I was wondering if this was something that he had done in the past. So it was almost like a switch flipped, or at least...
This is not new. You'll come to find out. It must have just been something she didn't know. And
didn't share it.
You never want to tell your parents what's going on because they're going to hold that grudge. So say I call my parents and I'm like, Mike has been verbally abusing me. And then I'm like, oh, me and Mike love each other so much. It's like they're only going to think of you in a negative way.
Of course.
That maybe that's why she kept it under wraps.
Yeah.
So, Barbara understood the fact that they were arguing at this party that they had gone to. She thought maybe alcohol had been a factor in escalating an argument. Since her daughter and Brad, were at that party, they were likely drinking cocktails. So when Barbara was asked if she was aware of any previous physical abuse in the past toward her daughter, she indicated that there had been a recent incident between the couple, but never in her wildest dreams did she ever think it could escalate to the point that Brad would harm her daughter in this way. So when she confronted her son-in-law about this previous incident, she did notice that he became a little defensive. So investigators learned that on Tuesday, October 8th at 4:35 p.m., Brad texted his longtime friend and business partner, this is James Cotter, and he texted, "If you're in Bandera, can you haul ass to meet me at your house? I don't have much time." And Cotter responded that he would be there in 40 minutes, and Brad wrote, "Okay, make sure and leave all that shit in the pump house, especially the gun." At 8:31 p.m., Cotter texted Brad, "Get over here. I won't tell anyone. You're my brother." So Cotter was charged eventually with tampering with evidence with the intent to impair an investigation and possession of a prohibited weapon in relation to Suzanne's disappearance after police discovered an AK-47 that was hidden in the wall of his home.
How much of a scumbag do you have to be to cover up for somebody that just killed their spouse
who has 4 children?
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I can't wrap my head around how people do this. Like, this is not loyalty. This is sick.
I mean, it is loyalty, but it's too much.
No, it's too much.
Yeah.
If I found out that my friend killed her husband, I'd be like, I love you, but we need to report this to police.
Yeah, you did something wrong. You're going to have to pay for it. Let's get through it. I'll help you get through it together. Whatever. I don't know. But yeah, not good.
So not only was this gun hidden in the wall, but it had been illegally modified into a machine gun, which was not properly registered. And investigators believe that the man concealed the weapon that could potentially be tied to Suzanne's disappearance. So after he was arrested, he posted bond in November of 2024, and he was placed on house arrest. So Brad was arrested in the early morning hours of Wednesday, October 9th. According to officers, he did not seem surprised, nor did he question why he was being arrested. He knew. He had visible lacerations as well as bruising to his hands and arms, which is very damning. He showed little to no emotion. He seemed unconcerned that his wife of 22 years, as well as the mother of his 4 children, was missing.
Man, sounds just like our latest espresso. Or like a recent episode that we said. That,
Okay.
like, just no concern about anything.
No concern whatsoever.
Ugh.
I mean, you and I have been married for 22 years, so the exact same as them. And of course they're involved.
I'd be ruined.
I would
wrecked.
be ruined. I would be sobbing. I would be searching.
Yeah.
Like not driving around a pickup truck with all these incriminating things, including a large, bulky object that was covered in a blue tarp.
Right.
Like all signs are so obvious in this case. So a search warrant was secured that same day where authorities located a burn site with a charred laptop as well as 3 cellular devices, all of which belonged to Brad. Not only that, but at the time of his arrest, he also had his iPhone 14 Plus on him. So we're talking about 4 cellular devices. It's like, okay, even if you're a businessman, who's carrying 4 devices?
Usually some nefarious things going on.
You would think. So he had this iPhone 14 Plus on him, and after the phone was examined, investigators found 2 notes in this device that were titled This Next Life and Last Will and Testament. And in this, he apologized for assaulting his wife on a previous occasion in August of 2023, and again on the Sunday night that she vanished. So these notes were created just the day before. This is Tuesday, October 8th.
I'll bet you this little scumbag was planning on killing himself and then he got scared. And
Perhaps, maybe. So investigators also found texts on Brad's phone from September 17th, 2023. This is 1 year earlier with another female. So he wrote, "I still feel bad about tonight. I never should have grabbed her phone and drove off, but she was so protective of it. My dumbass couldn't figure out her passcode, so I got locked out and had to bring it back. I really have no interest in looking through her phone or anyone else's. These devices are the devil." Well, if you have no interest in looking through her device, why did you take it and try to get into it?
Such a small-minded prick.
Really? So also his truck tested positive for blood, but it later proved that it was his blood. So Brad was initially arrested and charged with assault, family violence, and unlawful restraint. He wasn't yet charged with Suzanne's murder until November 7th. This is 1 month after his arrest. So when investigators spoke with Suzanne's personal banker at Frost Bank, after they came forward on October 23rd, they wanted to tell investigators that Suzanne had actually confided in them. And during a conversation they had in August of 2024, this is 2 months before she went missing, Suzanne indicated that she was being physically abused by her husband, who would often take her phone away and then tell the children that she'd simply lost it. She also told them that if she ever went missing, to look for her remains in a lake. So that's why I said this is not something new that was happening.
Yes.
She was being abused to the point that she thought this man could kill me.
Well, she wanted to make sure that her finances were taken care of so that her kids could get it. So her husband, like, whatever. But it's just like, man, so it's so bad that she's telling these bankers about this thing. And like, of course, you got to figure Brad was probably like, I'm going to put you in a lake or whatever.
That's exactly what I was going to say, that obviously he has specifically threatened her with that.
Yeah, and he's such an idiot that obviously he probably did exactly that.
Not having any self-control. This man was physically abusing his wife in the presence of their 5-year-old daughter. I mean, that just goes to show how he lacked any sense of self-control.
Yep.
So when the Simpson home was searched on October 23rd, investigators located 1 bag of cement, the box of heavy-duty black trash bags that contained 28 of the 32 total bags, a gray heavy-duty trash can, and the metal firewood rack that they had seen on the surveillance video the day after Suzanne went missing. So detectives conducted an interview with an unnamed woman on October 30th, and learned that Suzanne was very much aware that her husband was tracking her movements. So he was monitoring her, and he was an incredibly jealous person.
No kidding.
So
I had no idea.
Like I said, lacking self-esteem.
Yeah.
So since the night of Sunday, October 6, 2024, there have been no signs to suggest that Suzanne Simpson is alive. This is based on her cell phone records, financial records, as well as the fact that none of her loved ones have seen her since that time. And those that know and love Suzanne all agree that this devoted mother of four would never, ever have voluntarily abandoned her children.
No, I think we can all agree. Everybody listening to this, there's no way she's alive, and she was killed by her husband.
Right.
So this sucks because I think you're getting at that like nothing's happened yet.
Well, we're still in the process. This is very
Right.
much active.
Wow.
So despite intensive searches, her remains have yet to be located. Obviously, based on all the surveillance and tracking, we know what he did and where he went. Do we know it all? I don't know, but they have not yet found Suzanne.
Do we know what lake that she said that he put
I
her
don't
in?
know if she specified a specific
Oh,
lake.
just look in a lake.
In a lake.
Got it.
So during the week of her disappearance, officers searched a landfill on the eastern side of San Antonio over the course of 4 days. Friends and neighbors passed out flyers after Suzanne vanished as police searched the woods that were near the Simpson home. The family's ranch property was also searched, one county over, and as the investigation expanded, the Texas Rangers as well as the FBI all got involved. So Brad was later indicted for tampering with evidence for concealing a mechanical saw 2 days after Suzanne's disappearance. This is so terrible. Her DNA has been located on this saw.
Wow.
As well as destroying and concealing a human corpse with intent to impair its availability as evidence. So 10 days after Suzanne vanished, Brad's brother, this is Barton, which I found it was kind of interesting, Barton Simpson.
Bart Simpson.
And on Facebook, everyone calls him Bart.
Yeah, you have to.
He is older than when The Simpsons were created, so it's one of those things I thought of Office Space again, Michael Bolton.
Yeah, he's the one
like,
that sucks.
Damn ass hat.
He's the one that sucks. Why should I change my name?
So I do have respect for Brad's brother, Barton. So he wrote a public post to Facebook and he wrote, "Until Brad chooses to cooperate, we will continue to cooperate for him, as we have from the very beginning of this heartbreaking ordeal. This is not how we were raised, and this is not who we are." He went on to say that his brother's uncooperation was unacceptable and that their sister and brother-in-law had stepped up to care for the couple's children in the wake of losing both of their parents. So he signed off by saying, "We will not rest until we find Suzanne."
That's awesome. And so good that you can, count on somebody to actually take the high road. And you know what? Yeah, he wasn't raised like that, but clearly his brother has some mental disorders.
So Brad and Suzanne's 20-year-old daughter, Chandler, like I said, she has been very outspoken about the case, and that's very brave.
Absolutely. There's so many times where, we've had these stories where the kids are like, no, I'm going to stand by my dad. And man, she sounds awesome.
Yeah, so she took to posting a series of Instagram stories, like I mentioned in the beginning, that directly implicated her father. Chandler also directed her disgust to her parents' wealthy neighbors and said, "Shame on my community for not speaking about domestic violence. Within Alamo Heights, the women are marginalized by society and misogyny every day and are told to keep their mouth shut."
And you wonder if it's like, okay, well, if I talk about this guy, then they're going to look into me too. And like, you wonder, and anybody who doesn't want to talk, then you got to look at yourself. And hopefully the whole community is like that guy that stayed quiet about the woods, seeing them go into the woods. I'm not saying that that's definitely happening in their house, but you got to wonder, don't you?
Yeah, I guess the way I see it is, how people always have that thought like, oh, I don't want to meddle. Maybe it's nothing. I don't want to be that nosy neighbor.
I have that thought.
I'm sorry, if you see a man and Brad is bigger than Suzanne, struggling with his wife, she breaks free, he starts chasing her, and then you hear screams in the woods, it's time to call the police.
I would agree just speaking for myself. If I saw a man going after a woman, I would definitely report that. I got a soft spot in my heart for women. And it's just like, if I saw two guys fighting and like doing whatever, I'm like, all right.
They'll handle it.
Like, I hope nobody kills anybody, but I don't want to be a part of this. But like, if it's a guy like going after a woman, it's just like, no, man, that's all
not cool.
No holds barred. Yeah.
So the couple's 18-year-old daughter, Chelsea, she also took to social media. She wrote this very long, heartfelt post. It was truly heartbreaking. And basically, it was an emotional tribute to her mom. And she wrote about the void that is in their lives since her mom disappeared and how much her hilariously energetic and welcoming personality has been missed. And she acknowledged all the sacrifices that her mom has made over the years for her 4 children. And these are things, of course, teenagers, she acknowledged, they don't notice initially. But now that her mom is missing, she just feels that void so deeply in their lives. So Brad remains behind bars where he has been since October 9th, 2024 at Bexar County Jail, which interestingly enough, if you're listening from Texas, why do you spell Bear, Bexar?
I don't know. Hey, if Texas, if you're listening, let us know.
Something in my heart was like, you know what? I better double check that it's not Bexar County.
No,
so
it's Bear.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he remains at Bexar County Jail with a $3 million bond. He is allowed to exchange letters with his son, but he is not allowed to have contact with his 5-year-old daughter, while his adult children are refusing any sort of communication with him, though he has tried to pursue permission to see, all of his children.
Yeah, go to hell.
So on December 10th, 2024, the judge in this case issued a wide-ranging gag order for all family members, friends, and witnesses. And that's why there's limited information in this case, because it's active and ongoing and has yet to get to trial. And with this gag order, no one can speak out about what they might have known or heard or seen or whatever.
Is that like a normal thing?
Oh, gag orders?
Yeah,
for sure.
For like a whole communities?
I don't know.
Like that's a lot. That's a lot of people you're asking to be quiet.
Yeah, I don't know. So given the case's high profile and the ongoing forensic work, it's not yet clear when the trial will begin. During a hearing that happened in March of 2025, I find this to be such a freaking joke. Stephen Gilmore, this is Brad Simpson's attorney, he indicated that he believes that he has enough evidence to proceed with the motion to quash the indictment charging Brad with murder, tampering with evidence, and prohibited weapons possession. I'd like to know what that evidence is.
It's money. It's money in his pocket. So the more that he has this guy paying him, that's what's the worst part of this whole case. In any case like this is that this joker has money. So he's going to pay a high-priced lawyer, and they're going to find some tiny little thing that's like, oh, actually, this is going to be a mistrial now because this evidence wasn't like handled right. There's all these like little details that they can get him off with, and that's it makes me so angry.
I know everybody has to have a lawyer. I get that, but I am huge on justice, and I don't know how you sleep at night. How do you defend this man? You want him to get off? This man murdered his wife. He took away the mother of the 4 children.
I'd imagine the defense is, I just want a fair trial. So I want my client to have a fair trial. That's my job, to make sure it's fair. So that's what they're going to answer every time.
Yeah, it always just makes me crazy.
It's not that they think they're innocent. It's that they want a fair trial, and they're going to prove that. It's horse crap.
So his next court appearance is scheduled for April 22nd at 9 a.m. And in the meantime, like I said, he remains in Bexar County Jail, and everything is just delayed and delayed and delayed. The trial was supposed to be February something. Obviously, that's come and gone. So it's just being delayed. We'll see when it ends up being. But I mean, with all of this evidence, I cannot fathom how he will get away with this.
Brad, if you're listening to podcasts, hopefully you kill yourself while you're in jail. I'm going to say that. I know that's probably a little controversial, but I hope he kills himself.
So Suzanne Simpson is a woman remembered for her bright smile, her supermom grit, and even her hilariously bad driving, as well as her dorky dance moves, which I find to be completely adorable and endearing because we're all dorks to the core. It's just letting that freak flag fly and being okay with it.
That's exactly it. Anybody who's not a little bit dorky, they're just like not being themselves enough.
So she seems like someone that I would have wanted to have been friends with.
Coolness is like such a fake thing. Like that, even going back to high school, it's like all the cool kids or whatever, like they're just pretending.
It's all an act.
It's all pretend. We've all got weird dorky things inside of us. Let it out. It's fine.
And that makes me think of how you say like wearing suits is just so absurd.
Every time I see a guy wear a jacket, like I work in the business world, and there's always people that put on the jackets over their polos or whatever, and it does look nice. It looks very nice. And I'm like, you're just playing dress up. That's all you're doing is playing dress up. Like we're just kids playing dress up with our bow ties and regular ties and whatever. And it's like, man, this is so dumb. Can't we just wear something that's comfortable and look nice enough? Like you don't have to
put together. You don't want to be slovenly.
Yeah, I just have this thing against ties, man. It's just putting on ties. It's like you're choking yourself on purpose so you can have a scarf that hangs from your neck. It's like that's all it is a scarf. It's so stupid. Sorry to go on a tirade.
Yeah, we just derailed here, but. Yeah. And like I said, Suzanne's remains have yet to be found despite exhaustive searches. And I only can hope that they will find her remains so that she can be put to rest. There's a mountain of evidence that point to a grim end and to a once joyous life. This case is a stark reminder of the hidden struggles that might be happening behind closed doors, even in the most polished neighborhoods. in the most curated Instagram photos. We never know what is truly going on behind closed doors. And if you are experiencing domestic violence, please contact the Domestic Violence Hotline at 800-799-7233. I was watching this Instagram reel about a woman who escaped her abusive husband, and the comments were just so disturbing. People were being disparaging towards her. Like, why did it take you so long? Like, you have absolutely no idea until you walk in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
And just how difficult it could be to get away from a controlling, abusive, possessive person. So my heart breaks if you are in that situation. But in the meantime, this is the case, the sad story of Suzanne Simpson. I am so sorry for her family, for her children. I hope at least her remains can be found and that she could be laid to rest.
Yeah, so sorry to Chandler and her siblings and Suzanne. And man, hope that, I don't hope bad things to your dad necessarily. I mean, I guess I do, but
I
whatever.
want justice.
Yeah, we all want justice.
Yeah.
And so thank you so much for telling the story.
So we'll have to keep our ears and eyes out for when the trial starts, and we can only hope that this monster is found guilty, because I know you can say innocent until proven guilty, but with all the evidence that I just listed here,
He's been proven guilty.
to me, I mean, we're just waiting for a group of people to say, okay, guilty.
Yeah, I mean, Brad, do yourself a favor and just like, don't make your kids and family go through this whole thing. Just say guilty, like, I don't know, take it on the chin, be a man.
Yeah, I don't think he's the type of person. I don't know him, but based on what I've read about him, I don't think he would ever just be like, yeah, you're right, I'm guilty.
Yeah, he's no man. He's and the other thing, it's really hard to admit when you're going through struggles and having, you're going through an abusive relationship. If you listen on Spotify, go ahead and put it in the comments if you're feeling something, or on YouTube, go ahead. Like it's mostly anonymous, it's anonymous. I don't know who any of these people are that are commenting. Like, you have support, through our community, through everybody. Like, you need to talk to somebody. I can't believe how hard it would be to actually go through, because there's so many things that happen.
Right. And, I just hope that you can find safety and help, and that help is there, and just do it safely, because it's as you're preparing to leave these relationships that it's the most dangerous time.
And Allison and I both feel so, like, we feel for you. We hope the best for you.
Absolutely. But on that note, we do appreciate each and every one of you for being here, for listening, for supporting us. We truly appreciate you all so much, more than you could even ever know. I seriously think about our listeners all the time and think, man, what an awesome community of people that are out there.
And what would be even more awesome is if you subscribe to all of our channels. And while we're talking about it, I mean, it happens to be here, but make sure you subscribe to the podcast, most importantly. Like, if this is your first time listening to our podcast, go hit that plus button or whatever it is, check mark button. Make sure you're subscribed. That means a lot to us.
It really does, as well as over on YouTube, because Mike is putting in a lot of hours into our editing, probably taking him about a good solid 8 hours of editing videos.
Yeah, well, I'm enjoying it. I mean, as long as there's somebody out there is having some fun with it.
Yeah, there's not too much downtime we're having on the weekends, because Mike's got his face in a laptop.
It's good to work on something.
You're like a stranger to me, Mike. I don't even know you anymore.
Well, we're in the same room, but it's not like, we're actually doing anything together. It's just me with my AirPods on, like me. Tick, 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 tick,
and then if I say something to him, he pulls it out. He's like, what?
I can only do one thing at a time. So if you're like, Mike, real quick, that offsets everything. Like, that's like 5 minutes of getting
this derails me for 5 minutes.
I probably have some kind of a ADHD or something. I don't know.
That's all right, Mike. I still love you.
I know, and I love you.
Regardless of whatever you're suffering from.
Thank you.
And I know you are.
I am. There's definitely several things I'm suffering from.
I do love you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I designed this T-shirt all by myself.
Very nice. Very nice.
Don't touch my breasts.
You got the coffee cup right there, and you got the skulls right there.
Do not touch my breasts. But we are looking to release some more merch. We are in the process of doing that. I say to Mike all the time, I'm like, there is just not enough hours in this GD day.
Yeah, there's not. There's really not. So thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
And until next time, bye.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.